Hey YouTubers, promised a update on 55. I don't know if you can tell. I guess I'll have to look at this at full screen to see if you can tell. But on the tops of the sawtooth, it is definitely making the change. You can see the sawtooth leaves coming out. Looking good. Kabamba. I'm gonna have to. Probably gonna end up getting another set of Odyssey lights. Another dual 4-foot strip for this tank. You can see how the Kabamba is all growing towards the hotter light in the tank. Of course, this filter, which is still a temporary thing until I'm convinced that the tank is completely cycled through, it'll go away. But the chain sword, I got some new growth, I guess. It's looking kind of ragged right now. I guess it has a readjustment time for being replanted too. The hair grass thinned a little bit, but there's a lot of new growth in there. The Anubis that was losing all its leaves has still got a kind of a funky looking leaf right there, but there's a lot. If you look in right in there's a bunch of new leaves coming out. That's a new leaf. That's a new leaf. And I believe that's a new leaf. So, pennywort, doing what pennywort does. This Anubis, and I think when I got this it was labeled as a nano, and I don't believe that's a nano. I think that may be a barteri, possibly. If anybody can identify this, please leave a comment and let me know. That just looks way too big to be a nano. This little guy down here, come on guys, get out of the picture. Get out of the picture. Yes, you're beautiful. He's doing a little bit better. Well, you can see the one new leaf right there. They're coming along. The can't think of the name of it now. The Armani gracilis, whatever. Yeah, I know I probably butchered that name, but you know what I'm talking about. It's I don't know. It's not really coming nor going. It's hanging in there. I just got some of those iron root tabs, and I'm thinking about sticking a couple of those down around it. I did just start up the DIY CO2 again, so we'll see what happens over the next couple of days, and maybe that'll perk up a little bit. This other Anubias is doing great, nice and fresh and spry. The Tiger Lotus, as you can see, has 3 new leaves that have come out. Red as red could be. So I'm thinking that's going to be just fine. This crypt, well, it's coming along. It's got new growth and old growth and everything in between. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. The 2 swords, which as Dustin would call them, the original gangsters. They were two of my first plants when I started this project. Well, started the whole tank up. So doing pretty good, but if you look right there, I just plucked a couple of leaves that were like that, and some of them were worse. And back there, I got some deficiencies in here. I'm kind of leery on dosing with the liquid ferts at this point, because it's only been a couple of weeks since I started up the tank with the dirt, and everything I've watched and read said that the first month or so there's usually an abundance of stuff in the water column for the first month or so until the dirt kind of settles in. So I'm kind of leery of dosing, but yet I definitely have something that's missing. If any of y'all can identify whether it's the NP or the K or whatever that's missing, would you please leave me a comment or message me or whatever? Not that the plant is dying by any way, shape, or form. I mean, it's two different plants, one in the back and one over here. I mean, they're doing fine. It's just there is definitely a deficiency in there, and I don't know if you can see back over, let's see, that leaf right there. It's kind of, well, it looks kind of thin in the skin, shall we say. A little bit pale. Doesn't look like it's got as much, so there's definitely something missing in the soup. Need to add a little more seasoning or something, but if anybody can identify that, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. But here's a pan over of the whole tank. All in all, coming along quite well. It, I would say it's probably exceeded my expectations. I'd love to see it doing better, but it is definitely doing well. The red root floaters, there's one right there. He's broken loose. I'm trying to keep them, oh, there's quite a few of them. You can see them there. They keep getting loose and drifting over here into the wisteria. There's another one right there. And I'm trying to keep them corralled over into this area on this side of the tank where there's less flow, so that they can kind of do their thing. But that's not going to happen. So I'm probably going to end up having to take this wisteria out of here pretty soon, so that they can have free roam on the surface of the water and do their thing. There's another couple of them over there in the corner hanging out. I just hate it when they get caught up in this stuff, though, because this stuff tends to tumble a little bit, because the outlet jet for the Magnum Hot 250 is kind of angled down a little bit, but it's shooting across this way, and it tends to tumble this wisteria from time to time. So they get caught up sometimes down underneath in the bottom of with the root. Well, there's one right there. If you can see it right there. He's caught up, all bundled up in the very bottom. So, but yeah, all in all, I'm pretty happy with there's the DIY CO2 gone. Pretty happy with the results. There's another little crypt right there at the top of this log. And there's the, I just started this up last night, so that's why it's going so well. If anybody's interested in my mixture, it's pretty simple. It's straightforward. I use a 3-liter bottle as opposed to a 2-liter bottle. 3 cups of sugar, a teaspoon and a half of baking soda, and a teaspoon and a half of your standard Fleischmann's bread baking yeast. Shake it up real good. cap it. There's my little cheapo Chinese bubble counter. So it's going pretty good. I've gotten it to last up to about 2 weeks, but it's significantly slowed down at 2 weeks. Usually I try to replace it every 10 days or so, week to 10 days. And I love those neons. I'd love to get some cardinals, but they're just so damn expensive now. At least in this area they are. They run around, I think the cheapest I've seen them is like $2.50. I've seen them up to $5 and $5.50 a piece, which is ridiculous. But yeah, that's the tank as she sits here. Future plans, I'm probably going to go with a pressurized CO2 system eventually. Somebody mentioned about the air bubbles in the middle, to remove that. Still kind of leaving that in there. I just want to make sure until we've run at least a month that the tank is kind of settled in, that my beneficial bacteria have gotten to the levels that I want them, and everybody's happy and healthy, and that'll go away. The pressurized CO2, my big hold up there is pretty much the regulator. They are, I mean, I really don't want to go with a cheap one. I've heard some horror stories about going with those cheaper ones that are like sub $90. I keep looking for a used one, and you know, guys, gals, I know somebody out there has got a tank set up that's sitting out in the garage collecting dust full of potting materials and old bags and shovels and stuff, because they tried to do a tank and it failed, and they got frustrated and just sat all that old equipment outside, and probably got 2 or 3 regulators sitting on a shelf somewhere that are collecting dust, and would gladly sell them to somebody who would take it up and use them for what they're supposed to be used for a relatively, you know, good price. But you know, I just haven't stumbled across those people. So unfortunate as it is, I just keep looking. When I find my price and have the money to do it, I'll get the regulator, and I've already got a tank, and we'll get this thing rolling with some pressurized CO2. So that's about all I got for right now. Once again, thanks to all my subscribers. I've picked up quite a few in the last couple of days, week. I'd like to welcome you guys aboard. Thanks for watching, and everybody have a great weekend, and stay tuned.